Blue here. This is Blues News. It is April 23rd, 2024. Well, wow, my life has been this crazy whirlwind lately, and I thought I'd pop on here and give you a quick update until I can get my next podcast up. So my biggest news that I mentioned in my latest news update 2 months ago is about Blue Eye Market that Craig and I opened up on April 1st. So this has taken most of my time this month getting that market going, promoting it like crazy. And our first 3 weeks has been really, really successful. With the community support and the excitement that we've experienced about what we're doing has just been mind-blowing. So we're very, very excited about that. And if you didn't watch my previous news update, here's a quick recap. In December, Craig and I bought this old Spicy Tomatoes restaurant, Mexican restaurant building that is right next to our property. We've rented out part of that building to our local farmers market. We rented out the kitchen to this lady who is running a takeout barbecue restaurant. And then Craig and I are running what we call the Saturday Market every week, which is this big, huge fun event with lots of different kinds of vendors, live music, food. It's just this big, huge family fun event. So this entire adventure has just been one miracle after another. And God has orchestrated all of this from the beginning to the end. I'm sure I will share more of that story with you here someday. So the other big news, which is no less miraculous, is that Craig and I were invited to speak at the Jim Bakker Show Ready Now Expo last week. The way that this whole situation came about is pretty crazy, so I want to tell you. So our homestead is 1 mile away from Morningside, which is where Jim Bakker's television studio is. And we sell eggs and chickens and rabbits and goats from our homestead. So we have signs out on the highway, and people actually just drive up to our house and buy things. And so back in March, this beautiful, very friendly young woman pulls up to our house. And I run out to meet her, as I always do, and she is asking about chickens. And so we got into this long, deep conversation about our Christian faith. And now, that is not really weird here in the Ozarks. So where I used to live in St. Louis, it would have been really odd. But here in the Ozarks, everybody talks about Jesus. So talking to a stranger about your faith is really not odd at all. So if you live in a place like I used to, where you can't talk to people freely about Jesus, I'm really sorry. You should move to the Ozarks because it's so wonderful. It's so Jesus here. So anyway, back to my story. So me and this woman, whose name is Marcella, kept talking, and I ended up giving her copies of 2 of my books, but I had no idea who she was. So it turns out that Marcella is Jim Bakker's daughter and the co-host of his show. So the next week she contacted me, and asked me to speak at their upcoming Ready Now Expo. And this was a 3-day live and internationally televised event focusing on end times prophecy and emergency preparedness, which is what Jim Bakker specializes in. So Craig and I actually gave 2 presentations, one about living off grid and another about raising chickens. And we gave those presentations on the same stage where Jim Bakker hosts his show, which is pretty crazy. And so I also sold my books during the whole conference. Everything went really, really well. Everyone seemed to just love us. And we have become friends, I believe, with a bunch of Jim Bakker's adult children. Now, the possibility of future interactions has been brought up, and we will see what happens. So if you know me, you know that I don't run from controversy, and I will tell you like it is, at least as far as I can. So let's talk about this whole Jim Bakker thing. So if you are my age, you'll remember Jim Bakker, Jim and Tammy Faye Bakker, a very famous televangelists back in the 1980s. And there was this huge scandal. There were allegations of fraud, and Jim Bakker actually went to prison. And he was supposed to go there for 45 years. So he ended up staying there a little over 4 years. And then I believe he had some sort of conversion experience when he was in prison. And I do believe that he was a different person when he got out of prison. Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but after he got out, he remarried. And then in the early 2000s, he and his wife bought a huge tract of land in Blue Eye, Missouri, which is 1 mile away from where we live now. And he built a new studio, a new television studio, and he does an internationally broadcast weekly television show. So now a lot of people my age are very skeptical and suspicious of Mr. Bakker. We remember all the terrible things that we heard on the news back then. So personally, I have learned, and something I preach about here, over this past decade, that you cannot believe a lot of what you see on the news. And that was true back in the 1980s as well, believe it or not. Just fewer people realized it. And so I always try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. You know me, I'm all about grace, love, and mercy. And I try to never judge anyone based on hearsay, based on gossip, or especially about what I hear on the news. And so I extend the same grace to Mr. Bakker. And now we have not yet met the big guy himself, but we have met and spent time with 4 of his adult children. We've had lengthy conversations, and we've listened to them preach and teach during this 3-day conference. And so I will tell you that I am very impressed with them. They love Jesus. I'm convinced of it. They are serious about their faith. And Craig and I have been really surprised at how spiritually aligned we are with them. And we're very excited about this new connection. So I'm sure I'll be talking more about this here later. So a lot's been going on. Obviously, I feel like that guy in that In Living Color skit from the 1990s, the guy that had a whole bunch of jobs. Does anybody remember that? I got 9 jobs myself, you know. Here's all my jobs, Mom. So Craig and I run our homestead, which is a business. We have over 200 animals that we breed and we sell. Plus, we grow and raise as much of our own food as we can. So that's a full-time job for both of us right there. And now we're running this market, which is also a lot of work, especially now when we're trying to get it all going. And I am still writing and promoting my books. And I still have a full-time job running a website development business that I have run since 1998. So understandably, my podcast took a back seat for a little while we got this market going. Now I am planning to fire it up again, as well as my 2 other YouTube channels, more things. The first one is Hermit's Way Homestead. So I have a YouTube channel for our homestead, and I'm going to link to it right there, which is actually has over 3,000 subscribers. Is way more popular than this one because people would rather hear about homesteading than about how to get closer to Jesus. But, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. This is all in God's hands. Oh, and now I have a new channel for Blue Eye Market, which I'll link to right now. So anyway, I'm not in any kind of rush. I just work on this as I feel God leading. If I feel like he wants me to set it aside for a while and work on something else, I'm not in any of I don't compete for the most subscribers or I really don't care about any of that stuff. I'm just trying to do the best to my best of my ability, what I believe God wants me to do. And so that is what I'm doing. This channel, everything that I'm doing, my books, all of that is in God's hands. So in speaking of my books, I haven't even officially launched my latest book, which is Join Hands with Heaven. So watch for that in May. It's been out for a while on Amazon, but I still haven't done the official launch yet. So I am working also on several different videos. So I'm hoping to get those out pretty soon, maybe even by the end of this week. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I love you all with the love of Jesus Christ, whose blood, by the way, is the only doorway to God and to salvation. And I will see you soon. Peace.